Hello, scrappers, recyclers, and investors. Welcome to Shark Scrapper Live, the last show of 2023, where every week, we talk about stuff going on in the precious metals market, industrial metal market, stocks, the companies that revolve around our world of scrapping and recycling, even sometimes a little loosely. And we also throw in a safety and a business note just to keep it fun and interesting. Welcome, everybody. I hope that you are having a great end to 2023 and that you are ready for 2024. I know I'm not. I got so many things that are up in the air for 2024. It's just unbelievable. Anyway, I want to say hey to Andrew Powell over in New Zealand. He's already in 2024. We still have a few hours to go here. JR Cat, Scrapping Irish, Roger at CU Scrapping, Scrap It All. Welcome to the show. Great to have everybody here. It also is great to be back. I have to admit, last week was a little bit strange not coming up, even though it was, Christmas. Not having the live stream just felt a little bit weird. So, Enfield, welcome. Great to have you here. All right, so we are going to dive right in because we've got a lot of stuff to talk about. And the first thing that we're going to talk about, other than saying hello to Cruiser Mac, who just popped in, the first thing we're going to talk about is gold. We love gold. And I tell you what, gold has been really going nice here. So for those of you that don't know, I use the APMEX chart. I have bought and sold physical gold and silver using APMEX. I am not sponsored by APMEX. But if anybody from APMEX ever listens or watches any of these and they want to sponsor me, I'll be happy to talk with you. I just like using APMEX. It's a no drama, easy way to buy and sell physical gold and silver. So right now we're looking at the 24-hour chart, and we can see that gold is down just a little bit here, 0.54%. But again, we don't get terribly worried about the 24-hour trends. If we look at the 3-day trend, it's still down a little bit, but come on, look at this. Wait a minute. Let me just draw this line here real quick. We were up at almost 2,070, and now we've come down a little bit. 2,086. I'm sorry. So, we're this drop is to be expected, right? You can't maintain these kind of prices for a long time, or can you? There are some analysts who are starting to say that 2024 could see some good gold value coming up. So some of the analysts think we're actually going to see some long-term rises in gold in 2024. If we look at the 1 week, we see that gold was up for the week, 0.39, not a whole lot, 0.39%. We had highs up here, 2,098, 2,099, almost 2,100. So, we had a nice high plateau up here, and we've dropped off from there. But still, these are really good, solid prices for gold. If we look at the 1 month, here we see that we're up 1.23%. In the 3-month window, we're up 6.25%. So that's real nice. And for the year, we're up 13.3%. So real nice here. This is what we love to see in our world of scrapping, because when we see that kind of increase, we know that all of our electronic waste, our boards, are going to go up in value. So this is what we like to see. For the year, if we push the right button, for the year, we can see that we're up 14.6. So very, very nice. Just love seeing these kind of trends going on with gold. So what does that mean for us? Well, what that signals is that we should expect to see our gold scrap prices either at a minimum stay the same, but don't be surprised if you see some increases, or you may have already seen some increases from some of your scrap yards, some of your buyers out there. So this kind of trend gives them confidence to offer a little bit more for our boards in particular, but also, the CPUs and the RAM and such that have good gold content. They want to offer a little bit more because they want to buy it. And this kind of stuff gives them the confidence to do that. So this is really good news for us. And hopefully you all saw some benefits at your local yard. So I'm looking forward to see what you all got at your local yards, or at, if you've made any recent sales, say in the last week or so. I have got some, you know what? In fact, let's do this real quick while we're here. Oh man, this would be cool. We haven't done this in a while. We're going to go here. We're going to go to boardsort.com. We're going to go e-scrap prices because I've got some stuff that I need to send in. I have some gold-fingered RAM. All right, so that's still hanging at $23 a pound. So RAM is at 23. That's good because it had dropped to 22 and then came up a few weeks ago and it's been hanging at 23. So that's really cool. E-Waste Mike, great to have you here, man. And then let's see, I have some CD-ROM boards. So CD-ROM boards, here we are, $4.75 a pound. All right, cool. Well then, I've got a nice box that I'll be sending off to boardsort.com this week. And we're going to start 2024 with a little ching ching. Ching ching ching. Oh no, can't do that. All right, so that's what we've got going on here for gold. Anybody else got some gold that you're getting ready to sell, or that you've recently sold, or prices that you saw going up at your yards? And boy, I tell you what, hopefully nobody saw prices go down because that would be terrible. Yes, JR Cat, those Irish sucker sticks are, they're worth some money. Worth some money, especially if you sell them to a guy I know in Ireland. All right. Well, our safety note today is brought to you by a really bad incident that is happening as we speak over on the West Coast. So this is bad news here. Lithium and lithium fires. Now, what you are seeing here is a infrared image of a merchant ship that was bound for the U.S. carrying new batteries. All right, so these are new lithium batteries. The batteries were packed into the first hold here, and then they caught fire. So this is very evident in this infrared image because you can see the hull is warmer. Here's the smokestack. So that's really hot. So that flares up as white. Engine rooms are down here, so you can see that those are very warm. But here's that space. The crew, when they picked up that there was a fire, they sealed off the container, that hold, flooded it with CO2. The Coast Guard is holding this merchant ship off the coast because they're concerned about the risks of the smoke and the pollution from the fire, and they're trying to figure out what's going to happen now. So you've got a real serious problem because here you've got if I remember correctly, this ship has 4 holes, and one of them, so 1/4 of their carrying capacity is on fire. So this is not good, right? After they get this fire out, after they figure out how they're going to deal with this, and they get this fire put out, they're going to have to get rid of all of the waste material inside of the ship. Then they're going to have to decontaminate the space. I mean, this ship's going to be out of commission for a while. So yeah, this is not good. And I've had to clean up after a lithium fire occurred in a building one time. I mean, it's just nasty, just nasty. So it's very important for us in the in our world where we do the where we're handling lithium batteries, because they come into us as part of the scrap that we get, that we make some very conscious decisions in what we're going to do with lithium batteries. When I get lithium batteries, usually they're from laptop computers. I have a scrapyard that will buy the laptop lithium batteries. Hey, Ralph, great to see you here, man. Whether they don't care if they're still in the laptop computer or if they're separate from the laptop computer. They do want the ends taped. It's funny. Their e-scrap buyer relocated out of Florida up to Tennessee. And I've been slowly re-educating some of the folks that are in their buyback area. The first time I took in some of the lithium batteries with tape around the connectors, they were looking at them like, hey, what'd you do this for? And so I had to help them understand, well, that's your requirement and this is why. Because you're trying to avoid any potential to short out the connectors, the exposed connectors on the lithium batteries. If they're still in the laptop, that's cool too. They'll take them that way. At least at my local yard, they will. Now, what my yard will not take are lithium batteries from power tools or from other kind of devices. So, I end up with tools that I pick up, you name it, just Milwaukee, DeWalt, Ryobi, just the whole smattering of power tools now that use lithium batteries, and I end up with some of the batteries. So right now, for me, the batteries go to the local transfer station. The transfer station has a separate place that is away from everything else where you put the lithium batteries, so that if they catch fire, all they're going to do is burn up the other lithium batteries. In the sharp cage, I have a metal bucket that the batteries go in when they're waiting to get moved, and I don't let them accumulate to any great extent. The real challenge with lithium batteries, and I've done I had to do some research on this back when I was in the underwater robotics industry. The way that the batteries are made, there are always going to be micro shorts. These are literally microscopic shorts that develop in the manufacturing process. If these shorts are sufficiently large or close enough together, they can generate enough heat to eventually cause the battery to spontaneously combust. So you don't even have to damage a lithium battery to cause it to catch fire. It can just do it all by itself. Does this happen a lot? No. But when it happens, it can be very, very serious. So, hey, electronic scrapper, great to have you here. So, I urge and caution everyone out there, if you're dealing with lithium batteries, please have a plan for what you're doing with them. Don't let them accumulate to a great extent. If possible, keep them in some sort of metal container. Now, if they catch fire, they're going to get really hot. So the metal container may or may not keep things, in one place. But at least the metal container has a better chance of not letting a fire spread than if it was just in a plastic bin somewhere. So try to keep them in a metal container. If you have it, or if you come across one, fireproof or fire resistant kind of container would also be a very good thing to put them in. So I've even been giving some thought to using a dual container system where I have a larger outer metal bucket that would have water with an inner metal bucket when the batteries go in it, that they would be surrounded by water, so that if a battery did catch fire, the water could dissipate a lot of the heat energy and hopefully keep things from getting way out of control. Now, I have the advantage of being in a industrial warehouse kind of building. So the risk is that the two other businesses that are in the building, would have damage from a fire in my space. But that's also why I carry liability insurance for my company, just in case something like that was to happen. So having said all of that, be careful with your lithium batteries. Have a plan for what you're going to do with them. And if you don't have a plan right now, please take a few minutes, think it through, and decide what you're going to do, because you don't want your place, your garage, your house, your shop to become a picture on the news. Okay, so it is time now to get on to our industrial metal. And when some of you may have picked up on this routine. When I talk about gold, I also talk about copper. Why? Well, because they're gold and copper, right? They're the yellow metals for us, if you will. I just happen to like doing copper when I do gold. So anyway, we're going to talk about copper today. Now, this is going to be a little bit strange because we have to do something different with our copper charts. Usually, I would call up Kitco's base metal charts and speak to them. Kitco is another company that I've used to buy and sell physical silver and gold. Kitco has changed their website, and I've spent a bunch of time trying to navigate their new website. I'm having a real hard time finding base metal charts that we used to be able to look at. So I'm experimenting with some other charts for us. And the one that I'm starting out looking at right now is Trading Economics. They seem to have some pretty interesting information available. And there's a little bit more that I can do with their charts. So I'm going to show you some of that. Now, again, I don't know, I don't have any relationship with Trading Economics. This is the first time that I've used them on our live stream. So yeah, I'm not getting any kind of compensation from them. I've just been looking at different charts and found this one as an interesting place for us to look at these prices. So we see copper 3.88 dollars a pound here, and we can see that we were climbing for the first part of the week and we've dropped off. If we look at the month, we can see that let's see now, does this go up? Well, let's see. See, I'm learning what we're doing here. All right, so we kind of started the week here. So we're up for the week a little bit, which is kind of nice. We want to see copper going up. If we look for the 6 month, we were up, we were down, we're back up again. So that's overall a nice sign to see. And then if we look at the year, we can see that we were up really well for the year. We're down overall. We were dropping steadily through the year here, and now we're starting to climb back up again. But this is something interesting that I want to show you with this chart. So we can look at this with what they call the candlesticks. Now, candlesticks are a very interesting tool that investors use to get a feel for what is trending with a stock, or in this case, copper. So we're going to look here, and we see the candlestick. In this case, they're green and red. So if they're green, that means that the closing price was higher than the opening price. If it's red, it means that the closing price was lower than the opening price. So that makes sense, right? Green would have been up, red would have been down. And then the skinny little line in the middle is the maximum and minimum prices for that trading period, in this case, that day. So there are a lot of very interesting technical analysis things that you can do using the candlesticks to be able to trade on the trend. So for instance, here where you see the green candlesticks enveloping each other and the previous reds, that would tell you that the prices are, you would expect the prices to climb. And then they have this thing, I think that's called a spinning star or something like that, that tells you, wait a minute, the trend might be changing. Use some caution here. Again, I'm not an expert with candlesticks. I mess around with them sometimes with my stocks as an experiment, as an interesting intellectual study. There are lots of resources out there to help you learn how to look at candlesticks, so that you can make trading decisions. Now, we just happen to be talking about copper here. So, for us, what we're really interested in is, this trend. So here we've got the 1 year, and we see that it was dropping for the year, and then now it's starting to climb out. If we look at the 5 year, overall copper's up, but you can see that we climbed up in here and we had some problems after the pandemic, and we're having some hard time getting copper back up. We've talked about this quite a bit in the past about copper being stuck between two kind of big mega trends. The China cycle, where China was driving the price of copper as China's economy grew, and they were consuming a lot of copper themselves, but also using a lot of copper for the products they were selling. And now that cycle, or that trend, is not is losing its influence. The next trend being the green economy, the electrification economy, that's starting to pick up and driving some more copper consumption, but that's not picking up as fast as we might expect, which is why we're seeing these weird ups and downs going on. A pretty good amount of volatility overall in the copper market. The good news is that a lot of people expect that we will see a growing demand for copper, and that's going to be good news for us as scrappers. So I'm curious, did you see? Because if we look at the week, we saw that copper did drop a little bit, right? We went from a high of 3.96 down to a low of 3.86. So it dropped off, about 10 cents a pound. I'm wondering if you all saw any rises or falls at your scrapyard. Scrapyards have to look at the long-term trend, because for a lot of the scrapyards, they're not like us where they're going to get their money right away. They will bundle up or stack up a huge load of copper that they then sell, but they may not get paid for a few months after that. So, in the world of the big scrapyards, they're doing a lot of what's the price going to be a month from now or 2 months from now, or those kind of things when they're setting their prices. I did have a nice little payday though recently when I took in some copper for an end of year sort of opportunity that I had. I needed to get rid of some copper, so I took in get rid of some copper. I needed to make some space in the shark cage, so I took in a whole bunch of stuff to sell, and I was able to get some, pretty good end of year prices. I put this stuff in a video that was a couple weeks ago. But let's see, I had my insulated number 2 was at 0.8 cents a pound. And my copper number 1 was at $2.95 a pound. My copper number 2 was at $2.75 a pound. So, not too bad there. Not too bad for the copper on my end. And maybe you all were, maybe most people were taking a break and not taking stuff in. So you may not have been able to get prices for the year, which is fine. That's to be expected at this time of year. I mean, how many of you other than Mike are actually still actively breaking stuff down and doing your scrapping? Mike does that because, well, that's what Mike does all the time. If he's not out making a pickup or helping his daughter get moved in or something like that, he's breaking stuff down. He's, scrapping things out, and he lives right at his shop. So, he's just, when he doesn't have anything to do, he'll just go out and scrap, right? Some of us, we don't live that close to our shops. So for some of us, we're not just going to go down and start scrapping something right away. We have to, we do it during the workday kind of stuff. So, although Cruiser Max says as we speak, he's working on some copper. What kind of copper, Cruiser? Come on, share with us. Give us some details, man. What kind of copper you got? And Mike is also doing it right now. So there you go. Hardworking folks at it. Cruiser Mac has the very interesting challenge that the weather can have a huge impact on whether or not he can get to his scrapyard. So Cruiser ends up stacking up a bunch of stuff until he can get through the mountains and make the drive to the scrapyard. So that's a very different type of scrapping, because even if the prices are great, but it's snowing, he can't take advantage of it. Bright and shiny. Yeah, baby. That is nice. We love Bear Bright Copper. It's so sweet. In fact, that brings up a really interesting question. We got a comment on one of my videos recently where I mentioned my Bear Bright Copper. And one of the folks that commented asked the question, or they made the statement, be careful not to hang on to your Bear Bright too long, because if you pick up any oxidation on it, they may not call it Bear Bright anymore. And I kind of scratched my head on that, and I was thinking, well, now wait a minute. Would that be the way? I mean, because Bear Bright, when you look at what people call Bear Bright, they talk about the thickness of the copper wire. And the descriptions that I've seen don't say that it has to actually be shiny. They just said it cannot be heavily corroded. So I wonder, at what point would a scrapyard say, oh, that's no longer Bear Bright, that's number one? Or even worse yet, would they call it number two? I have not had that situation develop. But then again, I also keep a lid on my copper number one and my copper number two. So yeah, that's an really interesting question. Let's see. Bush Dog is saying that his yard is great with Bear Bright. They'll throw stranded wire into Bear Bright, which is nice. Oh, okay. All right. Very cool. Scrap It All says his yard is very picky with Bear Bright. So Scrap It All, does your yard require that it actually be shiny? Or if it gets dull or has a little Pantene on it, a little oxidation, is that okay? Bush Dog is saying it can even have a bit of tarnish on it. Okay, all right. And yes, so yes, as in it has to be shiny. Interesting. And Cruiser Mac has never had to deal with that scenario. Yeah, I got to tell you, I do not know. I don't know the answer from my local buyers. Yeah, Scrap It All confirmed. It has to be shiny. Interesting. That's really interesting. Huh. Because that would suggest that the people that they're selling it to require that it be shiny as well, which means that they probably can't hang on to it very long at the scrapyard, because it's not like they're going to seal it up to keep it from getting oxidized. So, very interesting. All right, Homer's saying that he's had bales of Bright get refused because of oxidation. Ah, Oh, very interesting stuff going on here. And by the way, welcome, Homers. Great to have you here, man. Um, that's really really interesting. Yeah, I agree. Bush Dog. It's amazing how yards can be so different with this kind of stuff. Just really weird, really weird. So Mike says he just did 80 pounds of bright wire last night. Very cool. Congratulations. That's a nice load right there. Um, and Cruiser's saying, I think it would be talking years as long as it's dry. Well, again, it also depends on how close to the ocean you live. I mean, no kidding. I'm serious here. Because I'm very close to the ocean. We get a lot of corrosion because we have a lot of salt in our air, especially if we have, any winds coming from east to west. If you're further inland, you're not going to get as much salt in the air and therefore not as much corrosion. But yeah, I would think that it would take a while before you would get, even here, it would probably take a long time to get sufficient corrosion to really cause, well, and again, it depends on how particular your yard is, right? So very interesting. Scrap It All says, yeah, I'm not going to argue with them. They have the money I want. Yeah. I mean, well, you can't argue with them, right? You can always ask. And I found this to be a very useful thing to do. When something happened, when the price changed on something or they started changing what they were calling it, I asked the question, and I would always, at my yards anyway, because I've been dealing with them for so long, when I ask the question, I get a good answer from them. It's not just, yeah, shut up and go away. This is what we're paying you. It's an explanation. For instance, now this was really important. This was a big one too. 2 weeks ago, I took in copper, what used to be called copper aluminum radiators. It's the heat sinks from the PCs that are copper and aluminum. My local yard, my non-ferrous yard, for the last 4 years has been buying those as copper aluminum, clean copper aluminum radiator price. So I would, throw them right in with my ACR. No issues there. Well, about 2 weeks ago, I noticed that they paid me refinery for that. I thought they had just made a mistake. So when I came in the next week, I brought it to their attention, and they said, "Yeah, we've been buying them wrong." And so this is where communications can fall down. So the buy area, the guys that are buying the stuff, they had been under the impression that they were supposed to buy them as ACR. The front of the house had been selling them, their buyers were buying them as refinery. So they were losing some money. And I guess they finally did an audit somewhere and they figured out, oh, crap, we're doing this wrong. We got to fix this. So I asked the question. They explained to me what was going on. So now I know that those are going to go as refinery. So I'm going to be thinking a little more carefully now what I do with some of those copper aluminum heat sinks that I get from the PCs. When I was getting ACR price for them, it was easy, man. I just, throw them in with the ACR and be done with it. But now I'm going to have to be a bit more careful and think about maybe spending some time to separate the copper from the aluminum. So let's see. Homer said it's a huge pain to cut the oxidized copper out of 6,000 to 7,000 bales. Yeah, I'll bet. Because I'm guessing it's the outer extremes, right? The skin, if you will, the outer part of the bales, and you've got to try to cut off that outer part, and then you've got the inner part. That would suck. Yeah, man, that would be terrible. I mean, man, I hope you had a great big bandsaw or something. I don't know. Yeah, and Mike says his yard's been buying them as refinery. Yeah, and so I thought that was really nice that I was getting ACR, and come to find out they should have been buying them as refinery the whole time, and they just were messing up. So, hey, it happens. I wonder how much money they had been losing in that transaction, in that mistake for a while. Interesting. Yeah. All right. So, I guess we didn't answer the question of how much corrosion will cause you to not get bare bright, but the answer really is it depends on your yard. So you're going to have to work with that. And I guess what you really ought to be thinking about is maybe move it quick enough that it doesn't get corroded, so you don't lose that value, or um, keep it covered so that it doesn't oxidize as quickly as it might otherwise oxidize. And Mike was just saying that his refinery price just went down to 7 cents a pound. Yeah. Let's see. What did I get? Let's see. Refinery 80 cents. 80 cents a pound. So look at that. Look at that price difference. I mean, that's just amazing. Mike's getting. Now, wait a minute, Mike, are you saying that they dropped it 7 cents a pound, or you're only getting 7 cents a pound? So please clarify that, because my yard's paying me 80 cents a pound. That's a huge difference. Oh, okay. All right. So you're getting $1.40 a pound. Okay. Yeah. So that's still a big difference, but that's, at least they're, that makes more sense as a refinery price. So, okay, got it. Got it. All right. So, yeah, interesting discussion on copper and bare bright. And just be careful with your copper so it doesn't get so corroded that you lose the value in it. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with it after that. All right. Yeah. Happy New Year, JCT. Great to have you. All right, so we are now going to move on to our business discussion for today. And this one is going to be a little bit interesting because I was trying to, I like to make these somehow related to the stuff that is going on in our world, or things that have happened over the last week or so, experiences that we can all relate to. And I thought that this would be an interesting business note to wrap up with for 2023. And that's changes that we're all dealing with on YouTube. So I've done a bunch of research on some changes that occurred to YouTube during 2023. So these aren't just recent changes, but these are changes that have occurred throughout the year. Some of these you may have seen, some of them you may not have seen because of the rollout schedules. But these are all changes that occurred to YouTube in 2023. So monetization was changed. They added a new layer of monetization, so you can begin monetization when you have 500 subs and 3,000 watch hours. Now, you're not eligible for AdSense or ad revenue. At that level, you still have to have the 1,000 subs and the 4,000 watch hours for ad revenue, but you can start to get things like the super chats and the super thanks and groups and stuff like that, sell merch on your YouTube channel at that lower level. So that was a change to the monetization. They are rolling out thumbnail tests. So those of you that are involved creators, hey Mike, great to have you here, man. Hey Mike, here, refinery is when the classic situation for refinery is on an ACR heat exchanger, and you cut off the end of it. So you have the steel with the copper noodles and maybe a little aluminum on it. So generally speaking, if it's copper with aluminum and maybe copper with aluminum and some shred, that's what they call refinery. Or at least at my yard, that's what they're calling refinery. Okay, so back to what's going on with YouTube here. They're rolling out a thumbnail test thing, so you can put up to 3 thumbnails, and YouTube will test those thumbnails to see which one is going to get the higher click-through rate. Don't be surprised, actually, if you see thumbnails change on videos that you're watching from some of your creators, because they may act. Some creators very active about changing thumbnails to get a better click-through rate. Shorts revenue. Those of you that are big into shorts, or you're watching shorts, you get 1,000 subs, 4,000 hours, or 10 million shorts views over 90 days. So that allows you to get revenue off of shorts. Now, it's not a lot of revenue. They take this pool of money, they divide it up by everybody that's going to get money out of it, and you get a little bit. So it's really not a lot of money from shorts, but that's another monetization thing. They've added an information page to help you better understand where you are on getting qualified to become part of the partner program or get monetized. So if you're not quite there yet and you're trying to figure out how many more subscribers do I need, how many more hours do I need, they have a monetization page that on your homepage that you can look at. And there's a lot of great information there about what would disqualify you for monetization. And that's important because if you apply for the YouTube Partner Program and you get denied the first time, you have 30 days before you can apply again. If you get denied a second time, then you have to wait 90 days before you can reapply. So yeah, you really want to know, if you've got edgier content, or if you are lean more towards the dirty words, then you really want to watch out for that. Having said that, that's another one of the changes that they made. If you rip off a whole bunch of cuss words in the first 10 seconds of your video, you're going to have some problems getting ad revenue and getting monetized. But if you wait till after that 10 seconds or so and you throw in the occasional F-bomb or cuss word because, hey, it happens, that's not going to be a big deal. There's a bunch of other stuff that deals with adult content, graphic violence, those kind of things. So if you're worried about getting monetized, I would urge you to go to that monetization page and understand all of that before you dive into that. You've got the YouTube Create, which is an app to help you create shorts. So if you're really into the shorts, you've got that out there that you can go for. You've got the ad blocker thing, and I know right now that there's a couple of you that have run into some problems with ad blockers. Basically, YouTube said we're going to crack down on ad blockers. So sometimes you're not allowed to make comments. Sometimes you're blocked. There's a bunch of stuff that YouTube has done if you are actively using an ad blocker. And I get it. Some of you have used ad blockers because you don't want to see the ads, but you don't want to pay for YouTube Premium. As somebody who is getting ad revenue, I would kind of prefer that you see the ads or that you pay for YouTube Premium, because I get a portion of the YouTube Premium account as well. That's just part of being in the partner program. So, and I know that some people have said, well, I use ad blocker, but I throw super chats and things to the creators that I watch. Yeah, that works sometimes, not always. So, that's just one of those things. I think, and Ralph is, I don't mean to call you out. Well, yeah, I do mean to call you out, but Ralph is one of those folks that uses ad blocker. So he says he's got a different ad blocker, and what will happen is it's going to be whack-a-mole is what YouTube's going to be dealing with. So they'll deal with the browser, the blockers that were in place. And when folks change like Ralph did, they'll go after that. So it's just going to be whack-a-mole for YouTube trying to do the ad blocker thing. Let's see, quizzes on the comments section. So now you can have quizzes with up to 4 answers. So it's a way to keep folks engaged through the comments. And I'm terrible with this. I'm going to try really hard to do a better job of using my community tab to share information, maybe put up some quizzes every now and then, maybe just, put up useful information on that community tab. So if you're watching people, and you should look at the community tab every now and then, because there might be some interesting information there. And YouTube will push that out to you as viewers, right? So if you're somebody that just happens to, if you're not a creator, but you're viewing a lot of channels, every now and then you will see their community posts come up. And I remember the first time it happened to me, I was scratching my head. I'm going, wait a minute, this isn't a video. So they don't get pushed the way videos do, but every now and then you'll get those kind of comments. I try to use them if I'm not going to go live. I try to get a note out there on my community tab so folks will know that I'm not going to be live. I'm going to try to do a better job in 2024 of using my community tab to be more engaged with everybody. Oh, let's see. What other stuff did YouTube mess around with? Oh yeah, the For You section. When you look at, I'm pretty sure this is rolled out for everybody now, but when you go look at somebody's homepage, you'll see a For You section, and that is the algorithm saying that they believe that you, the viewer, would be interested in these videos from this creator. YouTube kind of just rolled this out and didn't tell folks about it, so creators were kind of caught surprised. But there is a way to go into that section and make some tweaks to it. So for instance, as a creator, I can go in and say, I only want this to show long form content, or I only want it to show shorts, or go ahead and show a combination of shorts and long. So there's some things that I can do to tweak it a little bit for, what you're going to see. Or I can just say, you know what, the algorithm is much smarter than I am. It understands my viewers much better than I do. I'm just going to let the algorithm put stuff up there. So that's the For You section. The About tab went away. So it used to be when you went to someone's homepage, you would see an About tab. They would have a description about their channel, what they're doing, maybe their posting schedule. There would be links to other social media accounts that they had. You could get their email address there, those kind of things. Instead, that is in a pop-up underneath of the video. It'll say show more. And when you click on the show more, now you're going to see all kinds of information that used to be on the About tab. So if you're wondering what happened with that, that's where it's at. You still want, if you're a creator, you still want to make sure you fill all that out, and you can tell people, look for the show more pop-up and get my email there, or, those kind of things. I don't know how many of you are seriously into shorts, but you can't put links on your shorts, but they have created a place where you can add a link. That's just if you're really big into shorts. I'm not really big into shorts. I do a short every now and then, but I got very ugly legs. So, that's what I meant. That's an old joke. That one's no good. YouTube now has a promotion capability where you can pay to advertise your channel. Mixed reviews on this promotion capability, but what it seems as if the best use for this is if you're a creator and you're also getting affiliate income from someone, then the promotion tab could be a good way to further promote the product that you're trying to get people to buy. All right. So for instance, in my case, I am an affiliate for Stripmeister. If you look at that show more tab, on my page, you'll see a link to Stripmeister. If you go buy one of their wire strippers, by following that link, then I get a little bit of a commission off of that, which is very cool. And I use a portion of that to help with our shark research donations. So I could conceivably, and I may still do this at some point, I could make a video that was specifically about my StripMeister wire stripper. And then I could promote that video, which is essentially I go in and I say, okay, YouTube, here's $100. I want you to advertise this video for me. And then YouTube will promote that video. And then there's a calculus that they go through to determine how many views you're going to get over what period of time. You know, you tell it how long you want the ad campaign to run for. And then based on how much money you give, that's how many extra, you know, people are going to push that video out to. Some people are trying to use this as a way to simply increase their subscriber count. And, you know, it kind of works, but it doesn't kind of work. It's mixed on this because let's say you're really wealthy and you're going to spend $1,000 and, you know, you push out your video and a whole bunch of people see your video and they subscribe to you, but your content sucks or you don't have a whole lot of content. Well, eventually those people are going to fade away and you'll have wasted your money. So if you are an established channel and you've got a good content history and you're making good quality product anyway, then yeah, spending, you know, a little bit of money to push yourself out there might be worth it because you'll get in front of people that you might not otherwise get in front of, and then they can become subscribers. Also, with AI coming into play, YouTube is already made some stuff for AI. There's AI to help you with some of your creation, and they will be rolling out some controls on AI in the future so that folks that are using just AI to make all their videos and they're not doing anything themselves will be somewhat controlled. We'll see how that one goes. We'll see. And then the other thing that they've done is they're really cracking down on people who claim to be someone they're not. All right. So if you're doing a review channel or something, you have to, and I don't know how this works because I don't do this, so I haven't looked into it in great detail. But, you know, let's say that you wanted to use some of someone else's content, but you have no agreement with them and you don't represent them. You have to make it clear that you're not affiliated with that person. You don't represent that person. You know, you can imagine a lot of reasons why this would be important. You don't want somebody going out there doing stuff that could get a creator in a lot of trouble or cause problems for that creator. And that creator has no idea who that person is. They're not affiliated with them at all. Or someone is just swiping their content and claiming, you know, that you know, they have this agreement. So YouTube's cracking down on that as well. So a bunch of interesting changes for YouTube on the business side of YouTube that, you know, affects all of us from our viewing content to our creating. So definitely want to pay attention to that. All right, now it's time to get over to our stocks for the day. And I was really, really excited because this issue 7 of Value Line includes the electronics industry, the semiconductor industry, and computers. So that's very cool. This is a really cool issue. Now, again, I do not take any kind of compensation from Value Line, and Value Line does not take any advertising. So all of their information is strictly data and their independent analysis of that data. So that makes this a very valuable source. It's also a very expensive source of unbiased information to use for investing. And I am not a licensed or certified investing counselor, financial counselor. So this is just what I do when I'm looking at stocks that I'm going to invest in. The 2 stocks that we are going to look at, we're starting out with none other than IBM. Big Blue, you can't go wrong with Blue, right? Their dividend is 4.1% right now. That's as of the 22nd of December on a share price of $163.51. So yeah, it's kind of expensive. And you might imagine that they would be kind of expensive, right? They are qualified as a Div 0. So what that means is that they have had 17 years of increasing dividends per share with no flat or down years. They've actually had much longer than that. IBM has always been an investor-friendly company. They're not qualified for cash flow or earnings, but that's okay because I am a dividend investor and dividends are what I really focus on. Graphically, this is what this looks like. And, this is pretty nice. You see these dividends climbing. So that's what I'm looking at as a dividend investor. Yeah, the cash flow and the earnings were not great. But IBM is just one of those companies that you buy and hold for the long haul. I mean, that's why you're doing IBM. So a little expensive though, but that's a good return at 4%. So that's one of those ones that you build up a certain level in your portfolio, and you don't have to spend a lot of time thinking about it, right? The other company that caught my eye here, Texas Instruments. I'm pretty sure all of you know TI, Texas Instruments. Their ticker symbol is actually TXN. Their yield isn't fantastic at 3.3%, but they are a Div 0, and they have been a Div 0 for a long time. So Texas Instruments, another one of those plays in our electronic world that, it's a company that we know. We've scrapped a lot of their stuff. We see a lot of their products. So it's really something to consider. And then, of course, Texas Instruments is listed in the semiconductor industry, whereas IBM is listed in the computers and peripherals industry. So they're two different industries, both of them something that we really like to pay attention to. Now, real quick, I will point out that the folks at Value Line have said that at the current valuation, we have little reason to recommend taking a position in Texas Instruments. The issue gets top marks for safety, and it offers a solid dividend, but it's also untimely, and the price appreciation potential over the 18-month and the 3 to 5 year pull is poor. So what they're saying is that, yes, it's a good dividend, but they don't see the price, going anywhere from now through the next 5 years. So yeah, it might not be where you want to put your money. Now, compare that to what they had to say about IBM. Here's IBM. IBM shares of IBM are ranked to track the broader market averages for the coming 6 to 12 months. The stock has a good dividend at 4.1%, which will interest high income income investors. However, over the 3 to 5 year period, the equity offers minimal, if any, total return potential, which is up moderately. So again, you're not going to, these are not the stocks that you're going to buy and expect to make a whole bunch of money when you sell them 5 years from now. That's not going to happen. These are stocks that you buy for income. And if you're going to buy any one of these just for the income, then IBM would be the place to go. Even though they're a little bit more expensive than Texas Instruments, they're going to be the place where you're going to want to get them. So both of them good quality stocks. Both of them are a little expensive stocks. I do not own either one at this stage of the game. But you need to consider what your investing reasons are and what you plan to do before you invest. And as we have discussed, there are lots of other stocks that have good 4+% dividend yields that are less expensive than these stocks. And we've talked about those throughout the year in different areas. But because each of you has your own reasons to invest and diversify your portfolios, I try to keep mixing it up for you so that you can see a lot of different opportunities out there. All right. Well, It has been a fantastic discussion for the close of 2023. I ran my numbers for the year and compared them to last year. And I tell you what, I was kind of all over the place. The amount of shred steel that I took in 2023 was actually lower than what I took in 2022. 19%. I mean, yeah, I really thought I was bringing in more appliance and stuff. But then again, I took a step back and it's like, whoa, wait a minute. I know what happened. I went from street scrapping every week to street scrapping every other week. And when I street scrap, I get a lot of appliance shred steel. So in retrospect, that I'm kind of surprised it wasn't lower. It wasn't lower because I took in a lot more computers, because I was focusing most of my energy on computers. And that was demonstrated when I looked at the difference in my high grade printed circuit board or high grade motherboards. Now, remember, at my local yard, they call the small socket green motherboards are all lumped together as high grade motherboards. So for me, all of those small socket green motherboards, I increased that by 268%. All right, so well over doubled the amount of computers that I was scrapping and taking in. So, it was very clear in my numbers. I changed my focus to really, really work on scrapping computers and electronic scrap, and it was demonstrated in the numbers. And then this was also interesting. I picked up a couple of electrician clients, and I saw my copper sales go up for number 2 copper, the copper that I was taking in on a regular basis. My copper sales went up 400%, over 400. So 4 times the amount of copper that I was otherwise taking in. And the same, it was not as dramatic, but a similar number for my insulated copper wire. It's interesting to see how the numbers change from year to year, and then be able to go back and understand why that change occurred. Now, why do I bring this up? Because as we go into 2024, you want to say to yourself, what do I want to accomplish? What am I going to focus on in my scrap business? And then set some goals and keep track of your numbers. And then maybe a year from now, you can look at these and understand what the difference is going to be. In closing for today's discussion, before we go across the pond to Ireland, I just want to point out that 2024 is going to be a year of huge change for Shark Scrapper. The details will unfold as they unfold, because quite honestly, I don't have the details right now. What I do know is that Shark Scrapper is going to be moving in 2024. We're going to be leaving Jacksonville, Florida, and heading to other parts of the country. That relocation, we kind of think we know where we're going, but some other things have happened that might change that. So it's going to be a very interesting 2024. I look forward to sharing that with you as it unfolds, and hopefully it's not going to be terribly chaotic. With that said, I look forward to seeing you right now on the other side of the pond. So if you have autoplay enabled, when I shut down this stream, you will be automatically taken over to Scrapping Irish live in Ireland. If you do not have autoplay enabled, then please go into YouTube, look up Scrapping Irish, and you will see the thumbnail for his live stream. And I will see you all on the other side of the pond. And if you have any questions, I will be coming up. I believe Irish will let me up on the panel. You never know. But I'll see you over in Ireland, and we'll be happy to talk some more once we get over there. Have a great day, everybody. Have a wonderful 2024. Remember, do not drink and drive. If you're going to celebrate tonight, have a designated driver or stay put. And if you're going to drink, also don't use fireworks, because that's a bad combination too. We'll see you over in Ireland.